Medimap is used in aged care, disability and hospice. It helps manage patients' medication. Geoffrey Sayer is the director of Medimap, joins us live this morning. Geoffrey, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Do you yet know the motivation for this? We had an expert on who said it could be political. Do you know yet why?
No, we don't know why, what the motivation is. We're not intimate with the motivation. To be clear, our focus is not politicising this incident. We're very focused on restoring the systems so that we can help providers who care for people to be able to do that. So we're very focused on that. We don't want to be using this as a platform for political agitation. Our focus is clearly on restoring the systems, getting people back up and running, getting people informed, getting people support, and working through those processes.
Geoffrey, you haven't, as the company hasn't been contacted by whoever did this, you haven't had a ransom?
No, we've obviously engaged experts, forensic experts, cyber experts, all sorts of experts, including New Zealand government agencies. We haven't received anything, we haven't seen anything in that sense. And as I said earlier, it's really important that we're just focusing on correcting the wrong that's been created and getting our systems back up and running again.
Geoffrey, has any patient details been taken or just changed?
Well, we've got a deep forensic looking into this. We clearly know that patients' records have been changed, and it's in that demographic area around names, addresses, date of birth, those types of things. So we're still deep into the analysis. Obviously, you've got to get this right. You can't be misinforming people, particularly when the identities have been changed. So we've got to actually rebuild back up the identity of those who have been affected so that we can then get a sense of where these things have gone. This is not, I don't want to say classic ransomware. It's not a ransomware in that sense. It's been used legitimate credentials, which we suspect have been stolen, so to speak, has come in through a legitimate means and made these changes. So it doesn't fit the classic ransomware, I've got your data, I know these people scenario at this stage, but we're still working through all that.
So someone's legitimate login details, so username and password, have been used in order to access your systems?
Correct. So they've used a credentialed individual, but
Right.
we obviously suspect that credentials of that, so those individuals' credentials have been compromised somewhere.
Right, and do you know who that individual is?
We're working through, because obviously a lot of the detail around these things is the sophistication of people with bad intent, obviously do all sorts of things to cover their tracks. So we want to be really clear on that. We've obviously involved New Zealand Police and Privacy Commissioner, a whole bunch of organisations, so that even if we do find and work out who that is, we can give that person support.
Geoffrey, give us an idea how many people work for Medimap? How long is that potential list of people who would have a username and a password?
We have, as you described quite aptly at the start, we have a lot of people across the sector using Medimap, right? You're talking about thousands of providers, thousands of carers across lots of facilities across New Zealand. Okay?
And can they all log in and change details, even for patients for which they are not responsible?
The way it normally works is you work with your patients. This individual has done something on top of that, okay? But they've clearly got into the walls, so to speak, and made those changes.
Right. So how many username and password? Thousands we're talking potentially.
We're talking about there's a lot of people. We obviously have logging and sophisticated logging, which is what the forensics team are going through. That logging is being obviously to track the behaviour and understanding what the bad actor has done. But more importantly, we're using that logging to rebuild those identities of those individuals so that we can restore those systems.
Geoffrey, how many individuals are we talking about whose details have been changed?
We are still working through this. You have to appreciate when the identities have been changed and those sorts of things, we've got to get the numbers right. We do not want to give false information. We do not want to give inaccurate information.
Roughly? Hundreds, thousands?
We are working through it. We have to work through patient by patient, facility by facility. We have to understand what has happened. Is this patient's still a legitimate resident. There's a whole bunch of things we have to work through. So our goal is to work at the facility level and understand for each facility, so we can work with those facilities so that they can inform people who may be affected, but we've got to confirm that these people are actual real people.
This is the problem, and where I want to finish with you, Geoffrey. If someone's name has been changed and someone's date of birth has been changed, and you've got a list of the medications that these often elderly people, vulnerable people need to take, how do you even know who they really are?
Yeah, so let's be clear about this, Ryan. So when the incident came to our attention on Sunday, we took the system offline, okay? So at that point, we notified all our users, and all users would have moved into their way that they would handle an incident like this. They moved to alternate or manual processes, okay? So care's still going. Okay, let's be clear, care's still going. We have not reinstated the system so that people aren't using questionable data as you aptly described, okay? What we can do with the logging, we obviously do backups and failovers and disaster recovery. We can start to see when those changes start to happen, but there's real changes happening as well with legitimate stuff. So we've got to make sure we're looking at nefarious activity versus legitimate activity. So we are working through those processes to do that, but to be supporting the carers out there. They're doing a great job, as they do every day, continuing providing care.
Geoffrey, when was the last time you had your systems checked for, whether they could be penetrated?
We do routine requirements as part of a whole bunch of scenarios. We're obviously drilling through that as we speak.
Do you know when the last time was?
I would be misrepresenting if I quoted a date to you, exact date.
In the last month? I mean, you're the director of Medimap. You must know at this stage, the breach was Sunday, when the last time you had a checkup was.
I would have to come back to you with that answer, Ryan.
You don't know at this point, Geoffrey?
We do a lot of variations of various security testing and monitoring. I would have to go back and describe exactly what we did on what exact dates.
Okay, I appreciate your time. We'll have to leave it there. Geoffrey Sayer, who's the director of Medimap, this morning with us live from Sydney.